You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Good evening and welcome to Goggin Ice Arena in Oxford, Ohio, home of the Miami RedHawks. I'm Will Salzarulo. I'll be your pre-show host for tonight. Tonight's matchup is Miami University RedHawks versus the Arizona State Sun Devils. The RedHawks are looking to bounce back from the loss last night. Miami lost 4-1, getting the first loss of the season. ASU ended Miami's 6-game win streak, which is the best start to Miami hockey since 2007. Miami's coming into this matchup with a 6-1 overall record and an 0-1 conference record. ASU's coming in with a 3-4 and a 1-0 for overall and conference respectively. Last night, Miami got a power play goal early in the first period by Doug Grimes. ASU answered shortly after with 2 goals before the end of the period. It was an uneventful second period with no goals on the score sheet. Arizona buried it in the last minute of the third with a goal from ASU's Jack Beck, grabbing his first NCAA goal in his first game. Miami's Blake Messenblurd played his 100th game as a Red Hawk last night. Mateo Giampa reached his 75th career point, and former Red Hawk Johnny Waldron got his first point as a Sun Devil. And David Deputy is back on the lines as well after missing 5 games due to injury. Some key plays for tonight. Miami needs to work on some special teams. However, the PK for Miami was pretty good, only letting Arizona get 2 goals out of their 8 power plays. Now, Miami's own power play needs to get worked on, only getting 1 goal out of the 6 power plays last night. Block shots was an issue with the RedHawks, with 16 of the shots blocked while trying to score. Doug Grimes of the Miami RedHawks said they had to be patient and poised in order to get the puck behind the net. Miami needs to start strong and end strong. Their 1-0 lead in the first period did not last long. Miami has to give it their all tonight if they want to win. Some players to watch from Arizona State. Connor Hasley was dominant last night in getting a blowout win over the RedHawks with a 95% save percentage. Bennett Schmeck held ASU's team lead for points, 10 points in 7 games. For Miami, Coach Adelik's on a 7-game point streak, a point for every game in his college career so far. And Doug Grimes is on a 5-game point streak. He has scored a goal 3 out of the past 4 games. Opening lineups for the RedHawks and forward, we got Coach Adelik, Ilya Morozov, and Mateo Giampa. This is an undeniably incredible first line for Miami, getting a lot of scoring chances and scoring a lot in the past. On defense, we got Ryder Thompson and Michael Fellin. And in net, Mateo Giampa. Forwards for ASU, Jack Beck, Cullen Potter, and Johnny Waldron. Johnny Waldron is a former Red Hawk, and his homecoming last night led to his first point as a Red Hawk, as a Sun Devil. In defense, Brazen Bauer, Raisin Bozer, and Anthony Dowd. And in net, Connor Housley once again coming in from a blowout win last night against the RedHawks. Tonight isn't just a rematch. For the Miami, it's an opportunity to reclaim momentum, and as Doug Grimes puts it, the best conference in college hockey. I've been Will Salzarulo, and this has been the pre-show report. Later tonight, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff Middleton for play-by-play and color commentary by Aiden Sones. Stay tuned as puck drop approaches. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio.
Happy November, everyone. Steve, Coach Cady Arena, Goggin Ice Center, Oxford, Ohio. The scene for the second game between the Miami RedHawks and the Arizona State University Sun Devils in this second game of the first NCHC series for both of these programs. My name is Jeff Middleton alongside Aiden Sones as we get set for the second game of this series. Last night, a 4-1 win for the Arizona State Sun Devils, donning their yellow jerseys the same tonight. Miami donning their white home jerseys. And Aiden, last night, a game, the final score 4-1, but certainly didn't feel that way, especially through 40 minutes, as first period was full of goals, and the second period and even the third period were not until the very end. And last night, Coach Noreen and Doug Grimes talked about how it felt like a tight game, Miami RedHawks needing to limit Arizona State's transition offense, kind of making sure that obviously one of the tough conference opponents, one of the many tough conference opponents that the RedHawks are going to have to face throughout this year, make sure that they are limited in their chances and trying to win this second game and split this series at home.
Yeah, definitely. The score of 4-1 definitely did not reflect how well the Miami RedHawks did perform in last night's game. One key, though, for this game, I noticed that we were talking about this earlier. Last Saturday, Miami experienced their first game in which no penalties occurred. And yesterday was Anthony Noreen's team's most penalties ever occurred, with 8. So as long as they need to limit the penalties, I think they'll be fine in this game.
Listen, that was talked about in the post-game press conference. Coach Anthony Noreen offering no comment, as he usually does on the officiating, but like you said, Aiden, 8 penalties last night for the RedHawks, staying out of the box. 6 for the Sun Devils as well, so both teams trying to stay out of the box tonight, limiting any power play chances. Some recap of the scoring. Doug Grimes started the scoring for Miami 2 minutes and 15 seconds in on the power play, giving the RedHawks a 1-0 lead early. But Bennett Schimmick came back on the power play for the Sun Devils in that first period before assisting on a Sean McGurn even strength goal to put the Arizona State Sun Devils up 2-1. And obviously, like we said, no goals in the second period. And in the final 58 seconds of the game, Jack Beck, the former professional hockey player who has gotten his eligibility sorted out and able to play in college this year. And moving forward, Jack Beck on the power play as well after a Mateo Giampa penalty for tripping. And then an empty netter by Cullen Potter gave the Sun Devils a 4-1 win. So we will toss it over to public address for the final part of the starting lineups and national anthems. And we'll be right back with you for Puck Drop. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Miami looking for the series split here against the Sun Devils. Finished very high in the NCHC last year. And of course, a formidable opponent as we saw last night. Once again, Jeff Middleton and Aiden Sones with you for this broadcast of Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Arizona State makes one change. They bring in Carmelo Crandall, the freshman from St. Albert, Alberta. Out of Tri-City, Anthony Noreen's former home. Played 5 games this season, adding in 2 points. The extra scratch is Lincoln Keene from last night. Instead of going 7 defensemen, they go 6 and 11 forwards. No changes for the RedHawks, including in goal. Mateo Drobak has played 7 of the 7 games for Miami. 6-1-0 record, 2.70 goals against average, and a .910 save percentage. In net for the Sun Devils, it's Connor Hasley, the senior from Bentley. 2-3-0 record, winning his 2nd game of the season last night. 2.91 goals against average and a .917 save percentage. A right-hander, obviously very, very strong for Arizona State down the stretch. Really made a difference. You can kind of tell why Arizona State brought him in from Bentley after his performance last season, and last night making an impact late in the game. And if you're Mateo Drobak as well, Aiden, hard to be upset with your performance last night.
Yeah, definitely amazing saves from both sides of the ice from these goalies over here.
Anthony Noreen starts the identity line. Casper Nassen, Justin Stupka, and Doug Grimes. Head coach Greg Powers for Arizona State starts Cruz Lucius, Sean McGurn, Bennett Shimmick. Arizona State moving left to right. Miami moving right to left. Puck is down, and we are underway as Michael Phelan is up the far half wall. Arizona State's there to cover it, though, and they'll keep it in before Ryder Thompson gets possession behind his own net. We'll just flip it backhand. Tries to find the stick of Doug Grimes, and he plays it middle, but it goes right through the legs of Justin Stupka. Cruz Lucius will bring it across the blue line and just fire it gently into the glove of Mateo Drobak for his first save of the game.
Yeah, again, if you're one of the Miami RedHawks, one of the main goals to start off this game, to start off really fast, start off really strong, is with the face-offs. We have the Arizona State, who's one of the best teams when it comes to the face-off draw. So if we can get more face-offs in that category, just maintain possession of the puck, we can just drive some into their zone and hopefully lead to a goal.
Face-offs were an important part of the game last night, and early on, especially Miami, really dominated possession as Arizona State wins an offensive zone face-off, and Court will fire, and that one is deflected high into the air and into the netting. We will do it all over again in the offensive zone for Arizona State. And like we mentioned yesterday, 2:15 into the game on the power play, Doug Grimes scores that first goal, really kind of got some momentum going. That first 10 minutes, really strong for the RedHawks, but as the game kind of continued on, it sort of faded away. You could see Arizona State kind of start to get their legs under them and really pressure the RedHawks, and they ended up scoring 2 goals before the end of the first period, took the lead, and held on from there as puck is sent all the way down the ice by Vladislav Lukashevich, the Michigan State transfer. We'll get another near side defensive zone draw for the RedHawks. I guess they're switching it over on the other side. It'll be Ilya Morozov against Cullen Potter. First lines matched up against each other tonight. Lots of NHL talent. NHL scouts are in the building to watch plenty of players on both sides, including the 17-year-old Morozov. As Coach Adelik will just take it by himself and a hop, skip, and a jump. Retrieves the puck down below the goal line. Ilya Morozov now plays it low for Mateo Giampa. Giampa holds, loses the puck for a moment, is knocked to his knees, and he makes a good play from there. Gives it to Morozov. Morozov far side spins and fires, but that one is deflected away, and now it's Lukashevich near point. Lukashevich holds. He's pressured there by Johnny Waldron, the former Red Hawk. And now it's Waldron coming out of the zone. Waldron recorded an assist last night on the empty netter for Cullen Potter. It's his first point as a Sun Devil, having scored 56 points in his Miami career prior to the transfer this offseason. Sean McEwen will just play it off the stick of Ryan Smith for the RedHawks. He'll dump it in. Now near side, it's Max Helgeson. Ryan Smith below the goal. He tries to play one out in front, Waiting there was Ethan Hay. Now Michael Quinn far side holds, plays it to the front of the net, but that one is just tapped away by Kyle Smolin. Now Helgeson, the Alaska Anchorage transfer in the near corner for Miami. He brings it out, holds, fires, that one scores! Once again, the RedHawks strike early, 17:58 remaining in this first period, and on their first shot of the game, Max Helgeson scores his 5th goal of the season.
Wow, this reminds me almost of yesterday's game, the first goal of the game, of course. Going in the first few minutes of the game, very close to the net, very similar play. I was actually really surprised that Max Helgeson managed to hang on to that puck. There was 2 defenders on him. So that is the make or break difference in this game.
Absolutely. Max Helgeson came out of that wall battle, like you said, Aiden, 2-on-1, ended up making a nice stick handling move through the legs of an opponent and found himself right on the goal line, kind of by himself, and just fired it blocker side to Hasley, like we mentioned last night. And as we mentioned before, Hasley is a right-handed goaltender, so far side on Hasley, where Helgeson was shooting from, was the blocker side instead of the glove. Nonetheless, a huge goal for Miami to try and get some momentum going. Obviously, plenty of game left, and as we saw yesterday, Arizona State's not going to go away as they maintain possession here in the offensive zone. It's Logan Morrell, the Michigan Tech transfer. Plays it out in front. That was Sam Alfano. He shot it glove side for Mateo Droback and just sent it over the crossbar, and now here comes Ty Nash down the near side. Nash will just dump it in, and in comes Sean McGurn pressuring. McGurn wins a battle down low against Lukashevich, but Lukashevich gets a stick on it, and now comes Justin Stupka. Stupka will flip it in. Sam Court there to retrieve behind his own net. He makes a quick forehand play out, and now comes Cruz Lucius. Tries to make a move around. Nick Donato loses his footing, and a big defensive play there by Donato, and he's going to be able to just dump it in and have his forwards do the work. Lukashevich pinches in, has possession of the puck for a moment before Sean McGurn pickpockets him, and out comes Court. Lucius backhands it to Shimmick. Shimmick gains the zone. Now Lucius once more. Lucius pressured hard by Doug Grimes. Physical play ramping up a little bit. Now Miami exits their zone. Joel Shellberg plays it to his partner, Richard Barron. Now it's Cullen Potter. The speedy first-round pick by the Calgary Flames. We'll just dump it in. Michael Quinn's there to retrieve first for Miami. Plays it up to another returner from last year, Casper Nassen. He loses it for a moment, and Arizona State needs a change, so they'll just dump it in. Mateo Droback's out to play the puck behind his net. And now it's Coach Adelic. Coach Adelic tries to make a move around 2 men, but able to do that just barely. Makes a play out in front to Giampa. He's unable to handle the puck, and now Arizona State comes the other way. It's Waldron now over to Potter near side. Potter moves to his backhand, plays it for Kipke. Kipke fires. That one's blocked by Morozov. Kipke gets it back, though. Just kind of sends one along the ice, hits the skate of a Miami defender. Believe that was Quinn. And now it's Charlie Michaud who will send it all the way down towards the Arizona State zone. 15:09 remaining in this first period. Miami up 1-0 after the goal from Max Helgeson. Assisted by Ethan Hay and Michael Quinn. Puck kind of bouncing around in the neutral zone now. It's Michael Phelan in the Miami defensive zone after a dump in by Arizona State. Ethan Hay with the puck. Plays it up the wall for Ryan Smith, and he will just chop it off there. Now Max Helgeson gives chase. Sam Court's there, and a big hit laid there by Ethan Hay gets attention by the crowd, and now it's Ben Keevan. Keevan brings across one, and will just spin it around to the near side after moving far side, and he recollects back below the Miami net. Ryan Smith flips that one out, or at least attempts to, before it's blocked by Crandall. Miami certainly ramping up physicality. We talked a lot about it last night. You know, maybe not as physical as a series like Ferris State, their first one here at home. Obviously plenty of emotions going into that one, as it was the home opener in the first games of the season, but regardless, Miami hoping to play more physical, and Anthony Noreen mentioned it last night, is the way to defend Arizona State is just play more with the puck, make smarter decisions, and Miami's certainly doing that now through the first 6 minutes of this game. Arizona State still with the puck, though. It's Ty Nash. Just rimming around for Barron. Barron has this shot blocked by Blake Messenberg. And it kicks all the way out. The Miami bench is all standing, giving their stick taps to Messenberg, and the puck is just dumped in on net towards Mateo Drobak, and he will cover as there's a little bit of extracurricular activity happening now. Not really surprised, like we mentioned. Physicality ramping up kind of leads to this, let's call it fun.
It is a very interesting approach by these Redhawks. You know, you come from this game in which there are so many penalties called. It's just an interesting idea for them to have more hits, to be more physical, and just playing it safe is not in their key of mind. They're just trying to go big or go home.
And obviously, you know, playing connected with skill is as important as anything, but separating the man from the puck, making sure the opponents feel punished, making sure, Anthony Noreen mentioned it all last year, making sure that they're a hard team to play against. It's kind of in the identity that this coaching staff wants for these Redhawks as Casper Nassen brings it around the Miami offensive zone, plays it cross ice for Donato. Donato fires, that one's deflected in front, rebound, sitting there, but Grimes isn't able to get to it quickly. Hasley didn't know where it was, but able to recover and make a save on the rebound attempt behind the goal line. Now it's Justin Stupkin. You want to talk about physicality. This line is the identity line for Anthony Noreen for a reason. Three guys who are all very, very big. 6'4", 6'2", and 6'3", all weighing at least 205 pounds as well. Not afraid to use their body to generate offense, including on that shift there, as now it's Arizona State's turn. Bennett Shimmick makes a spin move on McEwen, gives it to McGurn. McGurn tries to find Lucius in the slot. He fires, that one saved by the chest of Mateo Drobak. Right position at the right time. Lucius wide open in the slot. And a big save by the Miami netminder. 12:30 remaining in this first period. Miami up 1-0 as we hit our first media timeout. We'll be right back after this break. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Steve Coach Cady Arena here in Oxford, Ohio. Jeff Middleton alongside Aiden Sones. Miami up 1-0 with 12.5 minutes remaining in this first period against the Sun Devils. Sun Devils donning their same uniforms they wore yesterday. Yellow helmets, yellow jerseys with red and white accents. Red, or I guess maroon, I should say. Maroon pants and yellow socks. Miami donning their alternate jerseys, which they are now selling in the Goggin Ice Center Pro Shop. Love and Honor gray pinstripes, red numbers, red stripes, red pants, white helmets, and of course the white socks as well. Play is back underway as Johnny Waldron wins a battle against Ilya Morozov, tries to play it out in front for a teammate that was standing there. I believe that was Jack Beck, and pass was broken up. Arizona State still maintains possession. It's Sam Court. Court fans on a pass. Here comes Coach Adelic 2-on-1 with Mateo Giampa. He's not able to get back as Cullen Potter, the speedy Cullen Potter, able to find his way back on the back check. A good attempt there by Delic. And now it's Cullen Potter the other way. Potter holds, he'll turn and spin around in the offensive zone. Plays it towards the front, puck is still loose. Mateo Droback was gonna pounce on it regardless, but the whistle was blown early. So almost a break for Coach Adelic and Mateo Giampa, but really good back check there by the first line center for these Sun Devils, Cullen Potter. Obviously we talked last night about how good of a skater he is. He used that well. Coach Adelic has at least a point in his first 7 games as a Red Hawk, so every single game he has recorded a point. Super big pickup for Anthony Noreen, coming out of Sudbury in the OHL and making a big difference on that first line for the Red Hawks.
Yeah, I believe that's the most consecutive games with a point since 2010.
So Delic and Giampa both at 10 points, the first 2 Red Hawks this season to hit double-digit points. Delic with an even split, 5 goals, 5 assists. Giampa, the playmaker, 3 goals, 7 assists. Both for 10 points, equal at the top of the Red Hawks food chain. Arizona State once again dumping the puck in, but Mikey Phelan wins a battle and just exits the zone with a pass, as it was Barron who tried to play it in for a teammate, missed the stick, and now it's Ryan Smith the other way. Helgeson is just going to fire that one on net from the neutral zone, and Stupka gets there first, so Hasley is no other choice but to cover, and Miami will get an offensive zone draw.
Yeah, that was a very smart play. If you know that you can't do anything with the puck, might as well just get an offensive faceoff.
Also kind of a weird setup there as Stupka was coming on and trying to get a change for this, you could call it third or first line or whatever for the Red Hawks. I think it's the one thing about Anthony Noreen's team is last year obviously we saw a lot of, Doug Grimes fires that one just wide, but last year we saw a lot of kind of interchanging of players, and you know, the lines were kind of jumbled a lot of the season, and this season it's been much more consistent, and you know, you could say any line is the first line other than, you know, maybe the fourth line depending on how they play. You know, their playing time last night was maybe not as much as they would have liked, but still very impactful.
Yeah, again, we have that identity line, and we also have that first line of Delch, Morozov, and Giampa, and it's interesting how Anthony Noreen has structured his roster in order to heighten everyone's attributes in a way that works well for the team.
So Miami had a shot on goal. It was saved easily by Hasley. Michaud just fanned on a one-time attempt. Quinn fed him from the blue line. And now Quinn will just dump it back in. Doug Grimes tries to win a battle against Morrell. He does. Plays it down low to Casper Nossen, who's bodied there by Anthony Dowd. He just leaves it for Grimes, gives off for Stupka. Stupka tries to fire that one, but fans on the attempts. Now it's Nossen below the Arizona State goal. Nossen holds far side. Backhand flips it to Quinn. That one's deflected in front by Grimes, but it goes wide to the glove side of Hasley. Now played around by Michaud. Quinn just tries to fire one to the net, and it goes all the way around. Here comes Alfano. Alfano holds. That one's patted away by Droback, as the angle wasn't probably as good as Alfano would have liked. A relatively routine save for Droback, and he's not going to get much time off, as now it's Lucius the other way. Lucius is bodied off the puck by McEwen. McEwen tries to make a breakout pass to Morozov. Morozov's unable to handle it, and now it's a battle ensues in the near corner. Puck skims around to the far corner. McEwen makes a nice outlet pass, and now here's Delic. Delic holds, fires that one. It's blocked in front. Rebounds, floats towards the net, and a good play there by Bennett Shimmick, the co-captain of these Sun Devils, to just kind of bat it away. And now he has possession. Sam Court near side, moves across the blue, gives off to Lucius. That one's blocked by a skate of Sean McEwen, who was being knocked down in the process. So, you know, maybe a fortunate shot block there, but nonetheless an effective one. And he's just going to pitchfork that one ahead to Lukashevich, and a rebound is set in front. That one is loose. A big save there. Now it's Lucius again. He fires and scores. Puck bounced around for 3 Arizona State Sun Devils. I believe it was Lucius McGurn. I can't tell who the third player was. Nonetheless, a really strong tic-tac-toe play in front. It was Johnny Waldron. Wasn't sure, as that's not a full line. Bennett Shimmick was not on the ice. It was Waldron. And now Waldron and Ryan Smith are getting a little bit testy in the Miami M.
Yeah, that was definitely a lucky break for the Arizona Sun Devils. One thing I want to say, though, 7 shots on goal for Arizona State compared to Miami's 4, but it doesn't feel like that. I feel like Miami has been in the offensive zone more than the stats might dictate.
So Cruz Lucius scores his 7th goal of the season, assisted by Johnny Waldron, so his 2nd point as a Sun Devil, and his 2nd point this weekend. So he comes home and will end up a point per game. So we're going to get a neutral zone face-off here. Ethan Hayes kicked out of the circle. Ryan Smith will come in after giving Johnny Waldron a little bit of a cross-check. Not sure exactly what they're arguing about, but regardless, here comes Waldron. Waldron dodges a check, he holds, gives off to Shellberg, and he wasn't able to handle the pass. It's kind of a bullet right to his stick, but also a little bit too far inside, so Waldron's feeling it here. This first line, obviously extremely dangerous for the Sun Devils. Waldron makes his impact in this game as of now, but Cullen Potter and Jack Beck are no slouch. Last night, obviously, Beck and Cullen Potter recording goals. Waldron with an assist, and just goes to show the kind of talent that this Sun Devils team has. Obviously, this first line is excellent, but if you have a second line of Cruz Lucius, Sean McGurn, and Bennett Shimmick, you're doing all right for yourself.
Yeah, again, the Sun Devils are rocking with a team that has 5 NHL drafted players on it compared to Miami's 2. So that definitely just shows the quality difference between the Arizona State Sun Devils, who have already been, these players mostly have played in the NCHC before. They already have that experience compared to these inexperienced, mostly freshman, sophomore Miami RedHawks.
Yeah, a really young team on this Miami side. Obviously, Arizona State, a young team themselves, but plenty of college hockey experience, like you mentioned. Aiden, plenty of NHL draft picks. Cullen Potter, Cruz Lucius, Ben Keevan, Noah Powell, and Justin Kipke, the 5 drafted skaters for Arizona State. And for Miami, it's Kasper Nassen and Vladislav Lukashevich. Ethan Hay was property of the Tampa Bay Lightning. As of now, has not signed with them. Miami had an offensive zone face-off, but unable to win it back, and Anthony Dowd's just going to clear it down. Now it's Potter, gives off to Morrell, and Morrell is hammered by Ilya Morozov into the end wall, and that's going to be a penalty on Miami, and Morozov's getting an earful from all of the Arizona State players on the ice. The youngest player in college hockey will head to the box for at least 2 minutes. That's a tough hit.
Yeah, unlike some of the calls last night that were a little bit more lenient, it could have gone either way. This was definitely one of the more blatant calls on the ice.
So they are going to review for a potential major penalty. Referee's mic is not working, so had to read lips a little bit, but referees for this game are same as last night, Brian Hankes and Nolan Bloyer. Linesmen are Eric Frank and Brian Gorkoff. So yeah, like we mentioned, it's a tough hit on the end wall, really loud from where we are. So understandable that they're at least going to review this for a major penalty. And this is a big penalty, not just because you're giving an Arizona State power play, if it ends up being a major, you're not just giving the Arizona State power play a talented power play, 5 minutes on the man advantage, but it's also Ilya Morozov. And while he is the youngest player in college hockey, he's also an extremely good penalty killer for this Miami team. And he's a first-line center for a reason. He's one of the most skilled players and one of the best face-off players on this team, and so you're losing all of that for 5 minutes. You know, not an ideal situation for Anthony Noreen and his coaching staff. If that is the case, of course. We don't know if it's going to be a major yet, but
yeah, Miami's PK this year hasn't been the greatest that we've seen. Only a 71.4% chance of killing off a penalty, which ranks 50th out of the 62 D1 teams that have played at least one game this season. And especially Morozov, again, one of the top guys that you were saying. We'll see if Miami can kill off this penalty, which would be huge for them, and huge for their momentum as well.
This game's still 1-1 after a Cruz Lucius goal, assisted by the former Red Hawk Johnny Waldron. The first tally of the game came from the Red Hawks. It was Max Helgeson from Ethan Hay and Michael Quinn as we get our call. So Ilya Morozov does get a major and a game misconduct, and that is not a good penalty to take. The youngest player in college hockey with 8:23 remaining in the first period has just been tossed from the game.
You don't want to see it, especially since that top line, Delic, Morozov, and Giampa, arguably the best line when it comes to goal scoring. Delic and Giampa both have 10 points with Morozov having 9. So this is huge if you are a Sun Devils fan, but not great if you are a Red Hawk fan.
Anthony Noreen getting a bit of an explanation from Nolan Bloyer, one of the two referees who made the call. So Miami will have Casper Nassen serve the penalty, and 5 minutes go on the clock for the Sun Devils. And like we mentioned before, staying out of the box is about as essential as anything in this series, and Miami not able to do it early on. As arguably one of the most talented players on this team and one of the most useful players on this team heads back to the locker room. Arizona State wins the draw. It's Lucius near side. Lucius plays it down low for Shimmick. Or excuse me, that's Jack Beck. Now Beck has it back near corner. Lucius retrieves. Lucius half wall, plays it low for Beck. Beck's pass is intercepted by Ryder Thompson, and he's unable to clear the puck out as the attempt is fanned, and the puck is deflected out into the crowd. Hope everyone's all right over there. Cross-ice pass from Lucius, wasn't able to get through the stick of Ethan Hay, who was in the way. So 25 seconds is gone on the Morozov major.
Yeah, so far it's looking good for the penalty kill. Just blocking shots and blocking passes is the main way to kill off this penalty.
Or excuse me, it was just a... Morozov had a 10-minute misconduct, but I believe it was a game misconduct. We will see what the official scoring is as Coach Adelic is able to send the puck all the way down and kill some of the time off this 5-minute major. The penalty was for cross-checking, though, as it was Logan Morrell who was sent really hard into the end wall in Miami's defensive zone, as Max Helgeson makes a good play on the puck, but unable to get it out was Delic, and now it's Dowd near side. Dowd near point. Has it far point now, it's Lucius. Lucius down low, plays it in front. That was Potter who played it to Shimmick, and he fans on the puck. Sends it wide, and now it's Delic the other way, shorthanded. Flips it to himself. Puck is bouncing, and that one's off the right pad of Hasley. Delic with a one-man show. Trying to generate anything shorthanded, and he certainly did. Now it's Beck. Beck gives cross ice. Now it's Dowd far point. Now McGurn. McGurn gives it across for Dowd. Center point. And the pass by Smolin was sent just way too far from Anthony Dowd. And Smolin was not happy with himself. You could see him kind of not throw his arms up, but regardless, Arizona State still has it in theirs, or has it now back in their zone. It's McGurn near side. McGurn in the face-off circle, plays it down low behind the Miami net. Now McGurn once more, plays it across, but that one's deflected and intercepted by Justin Stupka, and he's just going to clear it down and get a change. 2:39 remaining on the Miami Major, 6 minutes remaining in the first period. Shots 6-7 in favor of Arizona State. Miami clears once more. Bennett Shimmick complaining about a potential slash, but looks towards the ref, and he gets no acknowledgement, so he'll just have to pick up his stick and go back to the neutral zone, and then he does. Now it's Kippy for Cullen Potter. Potter gives down low for Shimmick. Now Potter once more far side. Potter holds, fires. That one's blocked by Lukashevich. He's hobbled for a moment. Now has to get back and grab the puck. He does, far side. And we'll just play it out for Ethan Hay. Hay has it now, moving across the Miami blue line. David Deputy is offside. Looked like Deputy entered early, and linesman Brian Gorkoff agreed, and he made the call.
Yeah, although there's still a minute and 51 seconds left on this penalty, it does look like momentum has shifted in Miami's direction. A lot of shorthanded opportunities for these RedHawks.
Yeah, a couple of shorthanded opportunities, like you said, Aiden, and I think it's important to note that last night they did a good job killing the penalty, not only creating opportunities for themselves, but also bringing it down to the offensive zone and playing it back to a defender. That makes all the difference when trying to kill, especially 5-minute majors. And so this first power play unit for head coach Greg Powers of the Sun Devils is still out there. 1:51 remaining in the major against Miami's Ilya Morozov. Helgeson just tries to win it forward. He does. And Arizona State with 1:45 remaining is just going to try and see what they can generate. It's Cullen Potter across the Miami M. Gives near side for Lucius, but the pass is deflected. Coach Adelic gets the stick in the way and just backhands it out into the Arizona State defensive zone. Now it's Shimmick. Leaves the puck, but dangerous pass there is Max Helgeson a little bit upset with himself that he didn't intercept that pass, and now Arizona State has it in the zone. Cruz Lucius fires that one, just tips the pad of Droback, and a big save there. Now it's Kipke in the center point, fires that one. It's just a little wide. The glove side of Droback. Play across, that one sent wide as well. That was Shimmick on the backside, it was. Now it's Cullen Potter on the far side. Now Shimmick, far half wall. Unable to control the puck, but Delic isn't able to get it out. Pass is deflected momentarily for Helgeson. That one's blocked away by Droback, excuse me. Now it's Kipke far point. Near side, Lucius. Lucius tries to play it in front for a deflection. Puck is bouncing around, and it ends up right back on the stick of Kipke far side. Now Lucius. Lucius drags. Beck tries to play it in front. That one is deflected by Ryder Thompson. Now Lucius once more. Delic lays out with a big block, and the Miami bench gives him his props. Now Kipke once more. Plays it down low. Now Lucius. Lucius plays it in front. That one's deflected by Shimmick. It doesn't get out. Helgeson tries to clear. He's unable to. Now Lucius near side. Lucius cross ice for Shimmick. That one's fanned on. Now Shimmick once more, far corner. Helgeson has it for a moment. He sends it all the way down. And that one's cleared, and the penalty is over. So no goals for Arizona State. And the crowd wants a penalty. Casper Nossen was tripped. Now it's David Deputy. Deputy fires. That one's saved by Hasley. Here comes Arizona State the other way. It's Alfano. He'll just dump it in, try and get around a Miami defender. And he'll play it out in front. That one's fired and blocked by Bozer. Bozer plays it low. Droback using his stick and blocker to make sure there's no pass out front, and Miami gets a huge kill. Giving them their props is this crowd here at Goggin Ice Center. A good crowd, good student crowd to open up the month of November. Good general admission crowd as well.
Yeah, you could feel as soon as that penalty expired, the whole arena just seemed to light up again. Miami's done a great job killing these penalties so far in this game.
And obviously with this game tied, it's a much more important kill. Obviously David Deputy had a chance to really send this building into a frenzy, but unable to do so as Connor Hasley got the right pad out. Now with 2:45 remaining in the first period, it's Arizona State once more. Kyle Smolin near corner will just backhand flip it back to Shellberg near point, but he's played there by Deputy, who returned from the injury last night, I should say. Sustained an injury in his first game of college hockey against Ferris State in the opening series and made it back last night. Anthony Noreen very proud of how he played and obviously said while they've been trying to work him back into game speed, there's nothing else that'll do that like playing a game, as that one is sent on net. It's Crandall. Yeah, David Deputy really got some praise from Anthony Noreen last night in the post-game press conference, said really happy with his efforts on the penalty kill and trying to ease him back into game speed, as there's nothing like NCHC hockey and the kind of speed and physicality that it is. But we have hit our second and final media timeout of this first period. 2:05 remaining in the first frame. 1-1's our score. Shots 12-7 in favor of Arizona State. We will be back right after this break. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. .205 remaining in the first frame here at Goggin Ice Center. Jeff Middleton alongside Aiden Sones. Our score 1-1. A tight matchup between two NCHC opponents. Miami looking to split the series after last night's 4-1 defeat. Like we mentioned early on in the broadcast, score didn't really reflect the kind of game that it was for either squad, but Arizona State's happy to walk away with a win like that after a tight last 40 minutes. And Miami defensive zone draw, they win, and we'll just exit out. It's Doug Grimes. He'll play it forward, and it's batted out of the air and played down low by the Sun Devils. Now Stupka in the Miami zone. Gives off to McEwen, and there's a penalty for, I believe it's going to be for interference or goalie interference. Mateo Drobak was hit down by Johnny Waldron. And he's not happy with the call. Nassen comes over and gives him a punch to the face with the glove on. Doug Grimes giving him some lip as well. So the former Red Hawk, it'll be a minor penalty for goaltender interference on Johnny Waldron. So with 1:44 remaining in the first, if Miami doesn't score, they will enter the second period with a man advantage. And Miami not happy that Johnny Waldron, not sure if it was intentional. Mateo Drobak it was kind of initiated by Mateo Drobak, I will say, as he kind of stepped in the way, but he was also in the crease. So Waldron skated into Mateo Drobak's ice, and he pays the price as he sits in the box for at least 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's also an interesting strategy here. When you have more time in the second period on this power play, if they can't capitalize it here, they'll be full of energy, they'll be full of life. You know, they get that 15, 20-minute break, but then so does the other team. So if you want to capitalize on that moment, you have to do so in this first period.
Delic wins the draw. Ryder Thompson able to collect and now gives it back to Delic. Delic spins backhand pass, but it's intercepted by Smolin, and now 2-on-2 the other way comes Arizona State. Smolin drags, but that one's blocked by Thompson. David Deputy with Ilya Morozov out now. David Deputy is on this first power play unit. You want to talk about easing him back in, here you go. Doug Grimes retrieves and fires that one down, but it's a little bit too weak. Delic is able to bat the puck out of midair, and now it's Grimes once more near corner. He just slowly plays it towards the point for Ryder Thompson. Now Delic. Delic down to Giampa. Giampa fans on the first attempt. Now Delic once more. Delic down low for Giampa. Giampa tries a touch pass up to Thompson. Now Delic and Giampa play catch, but Doug Grimes has a chance in front, and a really good pass from Giampa, but big save by Hasley. Now Deputy drags. That one screened by Grimes, and Hasley just, not sure if he saw that one, but he's able to get the pad out. Now it's Delic near side. Delic holds. That one's fired and deflected by Shelberg.
So far, it's looking good for that power play for Miami. I know we do talk about Connor Halsley and how much we like him again. He is a very unique goalie in this sense. But I'm really proud to see what the Miami RedHawks are doing. They're having a lot of scoring chances. It's just there's that one finishing move that just seems to not get done. If they manage to luck out, or if they get a breakaway, then that would lead to a huge goal.
Yeah, Hasley, one of the most mobile goaltenders I've ever seen in person and just in college hockey currently. Really fun goaltender to watch. I picked him in my preseason all-conference team for a reason. Led the NCAA in shutouts last year as Michael Quinn is not able to connect with Kasper Nassen on the near side, but Miami regains possession regardless. It's Smith. Now Smith over Lukashevich. That one's blockered away by Hasley. Now it's Nassen near side. Nassen up to Quinn. Quinn tries to find Nassen again for a one-timer. We know he's got it in his pocket. Nassen just waiting for that moment. Bozer defending him. It's really tight. There it is, the one-timer. Set wide. Rebound set in front. It's bouncing. Hay wasn't able to get anything on it. Now Nassen once more. That one's fanned on and knocked down in front is Hay. Miami crowd wants a call, but they aren't going to get it. As the period expires, 16 seconds remain on the Miami power play, and a really good start for the man advantage. Obviously not able to get anything to hit the back of the net, but you know, you like the puck movement, and we talked about it. Not a bad period from Miami. Obviously it doesn't help that you have a 5-minute major and that you have that disadvantage for a quarter of the period, but regardless, shot attempts 26-19 in favor of the Sun Devils. Shots end up being 13-10 in favor of the Sun Devils as well, but after that 5-minute major, kind of really seemed like they came out and showed that they are a resilient squad. We've talked about that before, that this is a resilient Miami team, and they've shown that in plenty of games this season so far. Only 7 games played, but yeah, Aiden, you have to be pretty happy with the effort, especially towards the back end of that period.
Yeah, I definitely like to see. I definitely love to see that Miami adapted with Morozov being out. Again, we talked about how crucial he is on special teams and just 5-on-5 hockey. And overall, to keep this game tied, and I really like the stat that we have blocked more shots than Arizona State. I know last time we were talking about how that was basically Miami's kryptonite. All of our shot attempts kept getting blocked, and I like to see that we are playing fire with fire. We are using their own strategy against them, and that's why I think we are tied here at 1-1.
So like you said, Aiden, we are tied at 1-1. Shots 12-9 on the scoreboard as of now. 16 seconds remaining on the Miami power play. When we come back in the second period, Will Salzarulo has your intermission report. We will be back with you for the middle frame after this break. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio.
You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. I'm Will Salzarulo, and this is your first intermission show, if you will. So currently, Miami and Arizona State are tied at 1-1 at the end of the first period. Here's how it happened. Miami got the first goal of the game at 2 minutes and 2 seconds into the first period. It was an even strength goal scored by Maximilian Helgeson. He was assisted by Ethan Hay and Michael Quinn. Arizona answered Miami's call 8 minutes later at 10 minutes and 50 seconds within the first. Cruz Lucius got an even strength goal, assisted by former Red Hawk Johnny Waldron. Miami got on for the first play of the night. First goal of the night. ASU answered a little bit later. Youngest player at NCAA right now, Ilya Morozov from Miami, gets a 5-minute major penalty for cross-checking. It is not a great penalty to take in such a tight game. However, Miami's PK killed it, so no goal for ASU. Miami kept on sending the puck out of their own zone, but it seems like Arizona had a magnet to Miami's net and kept on shooting on. Mateo Drobak of Miami was on fire in the first period, saving 11 saves. Ethan Hay just got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Miami will start the second period with a 2-minute penalty. Johnny Waldron from ASU also got a 2-minute minor goaltender interference. About 16 seconds left before that expires in the second period. At the end of the period, Miami kept on putting pressure on the ASU net. However, there was no luck, so the score is tied at 1-1. Some key players from the first. Connor Hasley, goal in net for ASU, making incredible saves at the end of the first period with 9. Cruz Lucius, also a notable player, tied the game. Miami, we have to look out for Mateo Drobak, who's under siege most of the first period with 11 saves. And Maximilian Helgeson, of course, who lit up the lamp first tonight. That is about all time we have for the intermission report. I've been Will Salzarulo. I'm going to hand it over to Jeff Middleton and Aiden as you'll hear from them for the second period. This is Red Hawk Radio, Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio.
Back here for the second period, Jeff Middleton alongside Aiden Sones. Middle frame between these two teams. 16 seconds remaining on the Miami power play, but in the intermission, it was announced over the public address that Ethan Hay got a 2-minute minor for unsportsmanlike conduct. Not sure exactly what happened, but we'll see if that negates the rest of this Miami power play and gives Arizona State another power play, their second of the game after a 5-minute major. The biggest thing of that first period, Aiden, was that 5-minute major game misconduct for Ilya Morozov, the young Russian, for centering the first line for Miami. Ethan Hay is not going to the box, but the door is open. I'm not sure if he knows that he got a penalty. Yeah, the scorer's table is all pointing at him, and we'll see what happens here. Now the linesman has come up to him, and I believe he's telling him that he got a penalty in the intermission. The Miami players had already gone back to the locker room when the penalty was announced. And the door is remaining open. Anthony Noreen getting an explanation. Yeah, Ethan Hay is now in the box. So the rest of the Miami power play will be omitted. Arizona State's going to get their second power play of the game. And Aiden, that first period ends tied 1-1. But Miami kind of regained some momentum towards the back end of that period, trying to gain that back as we start the second period.
Yeah, I noticed that even though we are on the penalty kill for at least, I believe it was 17 minutes we were on the penalty kill, we just needed to essentially just gain back the momentum. But I see that in the first period, we also didn't lose any momentum on the penalty kill, unlike last game.
So it was a 17-minute penalty, but 5 minutes on the penalty kill. Regardless, though, a lot of time to be spending at the disadvantage. As puck is down, we are underway. Miami moving left to right, Arizona State moving right to left. Miami dumps the puck in the zone, and it's once again this identity line. Justin Stupka, Kasper Nassen, with the addition of Ryan Smith. Not sure if I see Doug Grimes on the bench, but we'll keep an eye out as Kasper Nassen lays a big hit there on the Arizona State defender. Now Quinn, as the puck enters the neutral zone, he'll just fire it right back in. Hasley's there to stop it, and here comes Arizona State. Quick outlet pass, it's Jack Beck. Gives it across, trying to give it across for Cullen Potter, but Mateo Giampa ties his stick up, and the puck is just sent down into the Miami zone, being untouched. Giampa leaves it off for Delic, but a little bit too far out of his reach. Now Dowd is hit there by Delic. Giampa's there to collect, and now it's David Deputy on the far half wall. Deputy holds, tries to drag and shoot, but that one's blocked by Kipke, and now it's Delic once more. Gives low for Giampa. Delic comes in to support, flips it off the glass, and Giampa's there to chase, but Kipke gets there first. Once again, Kipke, probably the best defenseman on this Arizona State team. Anthony Dowd certainly used around, but Kipke, really, really big for him. Talked about last night, the freshman Minnesota Wild draft pick, freshman out of Calgary, Alberta, Victoria of the WHL. He gets first power play time along with big minutes for Greg Powers. Here comes Giampa. Enters the zone after a pass from Deputy. Tries to flip it out front, but that one's blocked. And now it's McEwen across for Donato near side at the blue line. Donato plays it low. Helgeson, the goal scorer for Miami, plays it out in front, but no one's there in the slot to retrieve. Big hit laid there by Grimes. There he is back on the ice, but looks like with Ethan Hay in the box, Anthony Noreen doing some line shuffling. Now Grimes comes near side, fires that one right into the chest of Hasley. Big save. And out the other way is Ben Keevan. Ben Keevan comes in all alone on Droback. Backhand, forehand, big save by Droback. Miami tries the outlet the other way. Grimes unable to handle it, and now Shellberg will just rim it around and send it all the way down for icing. So a big save there by the Miami netminder to keep this game tied.
Yeah, very huge. And again, I know we talk about that Ethan Hay did get that penalty. It looks like both men are out of the penalty box right now. We're back onto 5-on-5 hockey. And again, our penalty kill this game has been really impressive so far. So if we're able to transition this into the even strength 5-on-5 play, then that could result in many more goals.
So an offensive zone draw for Miami following the icing, and a big save on Ben Keevan, the New Jersey Devils prospect, by Mateo Droback. Shots 13-11 in favor of Arizona State. Miami wins the draw. Kasper Nassen just plays it back to Michaud, and Michaud will just dump it in, rim it around, and Blake Messenberg gives chase. Messenberg, Mikan, and Nassen. Looks like Nassen will be double shifting with his usual line to end this fourth line, as now it's Michaud behind the Miami net. Michaud gives up for Messenberg, now Mikan, but Mikan turns it over, now it's Keevan. Keevan for Arizona State tries to flip one on net after making a move around Quinn, but unable to do so as Mikan recovers after the turnover. And now it's Michaud in the near corner of the defensive zone. Kipke gives away for Dowd. That one's fired and gloved down. Smolin had the shot for Arizona State, but a relatively routine save for Droback. So an offensive zone draw here. Greg Powers is going to throw out his second line, or his fourth line, excuse me. Ty Nash, Logan Morrell, and Sam Alfano. with Kipke and Sam Court on the back end. Or actually, I believe that's Dowd. A little bit of a change to the Arizona State pairings as that shot is sent in off the draw and just a little bit wide. Miami will just dump it out, and now it is Dowd who will rim it around for Morrell. Morrell just kind of tips it backhand towards the neutral zone looking for a teammate, but it was an unplayable puck and just right to a Miami stick. Miami had it for a moment, and here comes Ty Nash. Nash brings it down near side, tries to play it middle. That one's kind of floats through the slot. Nobody there, though, but Arizona State regains possession. Play out in front for Morrell. On one knee, he wasn't able to grab it. Now Helgeson comes the other way for Miami. Helgeson just crosses it, dumps it cross corner, and now Helgeson regains, tries to play it cross pass to Lukashevich on the near point from the far corner, and that one's blocked, and now it's Nash the other way. Lukashevich tries to get it out, but Court gets there first, and fans on the attempt, so now Helgeson's just going to try and chase before going for a change. He'll just send it in where Brayson Bozer is there to collect. Bozer plays it off the stick of Potter in the neutral zone. Drobac's there. He'll fire that one around. It leaks through the body of Waldron. Waldron takes down Giampa, but Miami crowd once again not getting the call they want. Puck bouncing around in the neutral zone. It's back on the possession of Johnny Waldron, making an impact tonight. Now it's Delic. Delic tries to drag it through a man. Unable to do so, and Arizona State's just going to play it out to the neutral zone. Now it's Michaud. Michaud gives it off for Giampa. Giampa holds, spins, protects the puck, and is pressured by two Sun Devils, and the 2-on-1 battle is won in favor of the Sun Devils, and now David Deputy intercepts a pass in the neutral zone. Delic flutters that one over the stick, or at least attempts to, and is batted out of the air by the Sun Devils defenseman, and now it's Waldron. Waldron gives off for Beck. Beck holds, fires. That one's blocked in front by Quinn. A huge block by the sophomore defenseman for the RedHawks as Beck was in all alone. And now an outlet pass for Doug Grimes gets there. He'll just tap it in deep, and he hits Shellberg on the way in. And now Stupka tries to find a man, but the puck is deflected out, and now it's Cruz Lucius. Lucius with 7 shots, or 7 shot attempts already in this game. 5 shots on goal. We still have 14-15 remaining in the second period as Arizona State now holds in the offensive zone. A cross-ice pass from Shellberg does not complete to Bennett Shimmick. Shimmick had a goal last night, and now it's Justin Stupka in the offensive zone for Miami. Miami holds, waits for help. Now Doug Grimes will get there as in the midst of a change are the RedHawks. Lukashevich pinches in, brings it near corner. Dumps it back for Helgeson. Helgeson had it for a moment but lost it off his stick, now regains after a little bit of a ping pong play in the offensive zone. Lucius will just backhand it out and go for a change, so does Shimmick. And now it's Sean McEwen. McEwen outlets towards Helgeson. Helgeson will tap that one in deep and will give a loose chase. And now it's Mikan. Arizona State able to outlet, though, as Carmelo Crandall is hammered there by Michaud and loses the puck for a moment. Now Miami outlets, it's Blake Messenberg. Messenberg chips up for Mikan, and he chips back. Messenberg holds now in the offensive zone is Donato. Donato intentionally off the end wall. Now David Deputy far corner. Deputy backhands for Mikan. Mikan gives back to Deputy. Deputy goes near point. Now Donato. Donato fires into the traffic right at Deputy. He had to jump out of the way, and it just hit him anyway. Now Donato has it back in the Miami defensive zone after a clear from the Sun Devils. And a quick dump in and change for the RedHawks gives Arizona State a chance to just hold and make a patient play. And they'll do the same. Now here comes Miami. It's Delic across the blue. Gives off for Deputy. Deputy brings it a little bit deeper in the zone. That one's fired in. And Hasley had a little bit of trouble with that, but able to recollect. And of course, we get a little bit of extracurricular activities in the meantime. So we've reached our first media timeout of this second period. 12:24 remaining. 14-12 are the shots. Score still 1-1 here at Goggin Ice Center. We'll be back with you after this break. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Goggin Ice Center doing the YMCA and, of course, the Cotton Eye Joe. How could you not? Not a bad outing for these Miami fans. Really good crowd here at Goggin Ice Center. Happy to see that as always as play gets back underway. Miami pressuring early. Coach Shadelic kind of runs over his man. Deputy tries to find Giampa in the slot, but that's intercepted by Logan Morrell, and there's going to be a penalty here. Believe for interference on Miami. It'll be Vladislav Lukashevich. It is going to be interference. Didn't really see what happened. It kind of happened in the neutral zone, just away from the puck, obviously. Interference is a call, but
yeah, it's just these types of mistakes that you can't make as a team. And hopefully, again, we talk about how great this penalty kill has been this game. Hopefully this reflects in these next 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, penalty kill has been great all weekend for these RedHawks. And they'll have to do it again, otherwise it's going to be a tough road. Something about this Arizona State team is mentioned last night in the post-game press conference by head coach Anthony Noreen, is the fact that they don't need much. You give them 4 opportunities, they'll convert on 3, and they can win the game. That's how talented this team is, and worth a mention as Miami continues to give them opportunities on the power play, as now it's Cruz Lucius. Gives off for Kipke, center point. Kipke gives down low for Shimmick, now Lucius near side. Lucius down low for Shimmick, gives slot for Jack Beck. That one's poked away by Droback. Arizona State bench and Greg Powers not happy that a trip was not called on Shimmick in the middle of the ice, but regardless, no call coming. As the puck is played out towards the Arizona State zone, they try to enter, but a good play by Ethan Hay to just send it all the way down. And Arizona State will have to regroup with 1:20 remaining on this power play. It's Cullen Potter, gives off for Shimmick. Shimmick brings back and holds the puck. Heads towards the net. That was played there by Lucius. And now it's Cullen Potter far side. Gives up for Kipke, now Lucius once more. Lucius near side, Kipke fakes the one-timer. Gives off for Potter. Potter back to Kipke. Kipke down low for Lucius. Circling, waiting for an opportunity. Plays it towards the middle, but that one's blocked by the stick of Deputy. Miami just trying to get it out, and instead it goes out of play, so we'll get a defensive zone draw for the RedHawks with 45 seconds even remaining on the Arizona State power play. .50 remaining in this second period, and kind of back and forth, not really anything in terms of possession for either team. Obviously, both teams have had a couple of chances so far, but Arizona State looking for something here on this power play. So it'll be the second unit out for Arizona State. It'll be Sean McGurn taking the face-off against Ethan Hay. McGurn wins it back. Waldron gives off for Smolin. Smolin fires. That one's blocked by Thompson. Rebound. Waldron gives off for Keevan. He scores. A great tic-tac-toe play. The second goal of the game for Arizona State that's come off a couple of fantastic passes. As Johnny Waldron gets his second assist of the game, third point of the weekend against his former team, and a great pass across the ice to Ben Keevan.
Yeah, again, it's the same type of goal. That tic-tac-toe, that mentality. Again, we're trying to block the shots, but they somehow find the holes within our defense, and that led to that goal.
If there's anything about the power play that hockey fans in general should know, or do know, is seam passes are important. Seam passes are what opens up other lanes, and right there it was a perfect example of 2 seam passes that if you're Miami, you're going to want back and you're going to want to defend differently. But if you're Arizona State, that power play is, that's about as good as you can get. So Arizona State takes a 2-1 lead on the power play goal by Keevan. Assists go to Johnny Waldron and Kyle Smolin. 10:15 remaining in the second period. Miami trying to find a way back once again from a 2-1 deficit. As now it's Doug Grimes in the Miami zone. He exits, but a backhand flip to no one. gives Sean McGurn license to just toss it in. Droback gloves it down, gives off for Michaud. Michaud stops behind the Miami net, plays catch with Michael Quinn, and he'll just throw it up for Nassen. Grimes backhands it once again to open space, but there's nobody there. Now Michaud will play it to Grimes once more in the neutral zone, and he'll just dump it in before going for a change. Hasley behind his own net. Gives off to his defenseman, that's Shellberg. He's pressured hard there by Delic. Good forecheck there by the Miami forward. But Shellberg's able to just get it up and go for a change. Now Lukashevich. Lukashevich sauces it to Giampa near side. Giampa mohawks his way into the zone. Gives off to the front. Hasley didn't know where it went, but he was on the post regardless. Ended up hitting his left pad and stayed out of the net. Now it's Shimmick. Shimmick gives cross ice for Dowd. Dowd gives off for Lucius. Lucius over for Shimmick. That one was just a bit high in the air. Shimmick tried to bat it down, but unable to do so. Now it's Kipke. Kipke over for Shimmick. Far side. Shimmick will just rim it around. It's rolling its way around to Lucius's stick. Now Dowd. Dowd over to Kipke. Waldron tries a one-timer, but that one doesn't work. And now Miami exits. Here comes Giampa. Giampa gives off for Delic and goes for a change. Delic tries to make a move around one. Good defense there by Dowd. Instead, Delic gives off for Deputy. Cross-ice pass, he scores! Max Helgeson, second of the game. David Deputy registers his first collegiate point on a great cross-ice feed. Coach Delic stays hot with a secondary assist on the play. And Miami ties this game 2-2.
Yeah, it was a beautiful pass by Delic to Deputy, and again, that tic-tac-toe type of hockey. You know, that they scored against us with that tic-tac-toe mentality. We scored against them with that tic-tac-toe mentality. It's a little bit ironic that we are improving on the block shots in the tic-tac-toe passing, just mimicking their play style and trying to win out this game.
So a big goal for the RedHawks. The resilience shows once more as Max Helgeson registers his sixth goal of the season and his second of the game. A big get-back goal. Obviously a big point for David Deputy after coming off the injured reserve. A really nice feed from the former Muskegon Lumberjack in the USHL, Clark Cup champion, one of the top scorers in that league last season. As Ryan Smith makes a nice move around one, holds in the slot, unable to get it around. Cullen Potter though, and Arizona State comes out 2-on-2. Now 3-on-2, it's Jack Beck. Beck, Waldron wants the puck in the slot. Beck looked at him, but just played it down low, and now it's Mikey Phelan. Phelan just sends it in and goes for a change. Hasley stops the puck behind his own net. Almost a big hit laid there by Messenberg, as now it's Stupka. Stupka bounces it in off of Messenberg's shin pad. By accident, of course, and now Messenberg engages in a battle and ends up winning it, and now Miami has possession again. It's Michaud. Michaud tries to play it around a man for Mikan. Unable to do so, though, is Shellberg able to get the skate in the way. And up comes Crandall. He's hit hard there. And there's going to be a penalty on Miami's bench here. Miami just received a bench minor. I'm not sure if Anthony Noreen was yelling at the ref or what happened here. The play was blown dead in the middle, and Casper Nassen's going to go serve it.
Yeah, a very interesting call, especially since the action was happening on their offensive or defensive zone.
Yeah, it was the back ref that called it. It was the one by the Miami bench, of course. It wouldn't make sense if the one in the defensive zone called it, but I'm not sure exactly what happened. I wish I could provide some more insight, but I obviously was not paying attention to the Miami bench. I didn't think I needed to. So with 7:02 remaining in the second period, after Miami ties it, they get a bench minor. they would have announced if it was too many men, so that's out of the question. You just said bench minor. So someone must have said something.
It's as vague as it gets.
Yeah, and with the Ethan Hay penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct and a bench minor for, saying something, you have to wonder if there's going to be some talk about keeping your mouth shut. Clearly, these referees are not taking any lip from anybody. So Arizona State goes back on the power play. It's Cullen Potter on the far side. Potter fires that one, a bullet right over to Cruz Lucius in the air. Tried to glove it down, wasn't able to initially. Now it's Beck, gives over for Potter, far side. Potter holds, blockered away by Droback. A big save. Kind of sprawled out of his way to get the blocker there, but he did. And now Kipke's just going to fire it down and right through the legs of Potter. Didn't get a stick on it, so it's going to be icing on Arizona State.
Yeah, that was a much-needed call, especially since they had two men on the left side of the rink just ready to take that pass amidst the Miami line change.
Miami wins the faceoff shorthanded, gets a shot on net. That's Helgeson looking for his hat trick goal. Hasley gloves that one down. As the puck is just bounced back to neutral ice. And Kipke's there to retrieve. 55 seconds remaining on the Miami bench minor penalty. Kipke gives off for Potter. Potter using his legs. Plays give and go with a teammate before getting the puck back behind the Miami net. And Helgeson just able to get the puck out of the Miami zone. Kind of fell down in the middle of the ice, but got one hand on his stick and able to play it towards the center end before Arizona State comes back and regroups. Michael Phelan's just going to send it all the way down, though, where Anthony Dowd collects with 22 seconds remaining on the Miami penalty. Here comes Keevan. The goal scorers for Arizona State. It's Johnny Waldron now. Waldron finds a man in the slot. That's McGurn. But McGurn fans. And here comes Miami the other way. Justin Stupka. A man falls down. That's Dowd. Gives up for Hay. Byers scores! Ethan Hay with a shorty. 2 seconds remaining on the Miami penalty. Anthony Dowd falls over while skating backwards on the break. And a nice back pass to Hay, and he one-times it over the shoulder of Hasley. I believe that was Stupka, it was, with a nice pass. And Miami takes a 3-2 lead with 5:03 remaining in the second period.
Again, this Arizona State power play, they are really good at producing shots. Their one deficit, though, is giving up the shorthanded goals. They rank second in the entire league with shorthanded goals allowed with 3. With Providence being the number 1 team with 5.
So Miami kills the penalty and they score a goal of their own. Here comes Casper Nassen, gives off for Grimes. Grimes fires, that one's off the glove of Hasley. Michaud pinches in. Now Ty Nash has it through the neutral zone. He'll dump it cross ice. Following in is Sam Alfano. Alfano retrieves in a battle. Ryan Smith gets there first, and that puck is up in the air. Quinn's there first. Bats it around, and now Richard Barron tries to find a teammate down low, unable to do so, and now Miami comes the other way. Ryan Smith makes a nice backhand move. A little behind the back play, just trying to get around a defender. Now Doug Grimes will backhand it around for Casper Nassen. Nassen gives off, Smith fires, that one scores! Ryan Smith enters the zone with a nice backhand move, or behind the back move, I should say. Doug Grimes and Casper Nassen find each other on the end wall, and Ryan Smith gets one to squeak through the glove side of Hasley. It's 4-2 RedHawks.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy on how the play unfolded. Connor Hasley almost managed to hold on to the puck, but he sort of dropped it, kind of hit the side of his glove, and then it barely went over the goal line for a goal.
And Hasley didn't look like he could see it either. Shellberg was in front of him alongside the big frame of Doug Grimes, and Grimes is going to get a penalty here. I'm not sure what for. He's smiling on his way to the box. I'm wondering if, again, he said something. Wasn't able to hear the call. Anthony Noreen is asking for an explanation from Nolan Bloyer, the near side ref. Yeah, Grimes got it 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct. So the second unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of this game. You could argue probably the third unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of this game for Miami. And obviously the last power play for Arizona State went Miami's way, but again, you can't keep taking penalties against a power play that's as talented as this Arizona State team. Again, not sure exactly what Grimes did. I'm curious. I will have to watch the replay back, of course, but here comes Cruz Lucius regardless. 4:07 remaining in the second period. Miami's up 4-2. Gives up for Shimmick. That one's saved, and we're going to get a penalty on Arizona State for interference.
Just like that,
so just like that, we're at even strength. That's right. Cruz Lucius is the culprit. He will head to the box and does not like the call. The Miami crowd, of course, does. So 2 minutes for interference, 1:51 remaining on this Miami penalty. So Miami will only have 9 seconds of power play time, but get some 4-on-4 hockey like we did last night.
Yeah, with a lot more space now on the ice. It's all about speed in this case. You need to get to the puck first. You need to win your face-off draws. And hopefully Miami can capitalize on one more goal.
So 4-on-4 we go. It's Brace and Bozer. Gives back for Cullen Potter. We talked about it last night, just how much speed he has and how much open ice there is really plays towards his strengths. But Miami comes the other way. It's Delic and Giampa. Delic gives off for Giampa. Giampa spins that one right around into the 5-hole of Hasley, but he got his pads and stick down in time, and here comes Cullen Potter the other way. 3:30 remaining in the second period. Potter passes, but it's off the stick of Beck, and now it's Delic across the blue line. Delic holds. He fires that one right into the chest of Hasley, and he'll hold for a Miami offensive zone face-off. With 3:19 remaining in the second period, Miami up 4-2. We hit our second and final media timeout of this middle frame. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Back at Goggin Ice Center, and boy, has it been a good one. 4-2 in favor of Miami, but really great back and forth play between these two clubs. Last night, 4-1 victory for the Sun Devils. Tonight, they're looking for the sweep, and Miami is looking for a series split to open conference play. It would be their first win. Of course, lots of hockey left. Let's preface this, but it would be their first conference win in 658 days. Their first in a long, long time. So Miami obviously looking to split the series for one, but also kind of stop the schneid. 41 conference games without a win. 0-39-2. Arizona State's not going to go down easy, though, of course, as Bennett Shimmick brings the puck in the zone and fires that one over the blocker's shoulder of Droback and out of play. Yeah, if we know anything about this Arizona State team, as we've talked about multiple times, especially yesterday, they're not going to go down easy. They have the talent, and all they need is one or two chances to tie this game up. They don't need a lot.
Yeah, defense is really important, especially in this back half of the game. One that really sticks out to me is a good sign of a hockey team is when they manage to have, although more penalty minutes, they have scored 3 goals compared to Arizona State's 1.
So Arizona State is going to get an offensive zone draw here, but Ethan Hay wins it. Now it's Lukashevich. Gives off for Smith. Still 4-on-4 here at Goggin. Smith gives across. Tries to find McEwen, but McEwen hits it one knee, and pass is intercepted by Shimmick just for a moment. And now Arizona State comes the other way after a Miami change. Brayson Bozer gives cross ice. That's a really nice defensive play by Helgeson on Sam Court. He just kind of spun around and got his stick in the way. Now here comes Shimmick. Shimmick hit hard there by Phelan, separated from the puck in the entry. Really good defensive play, and Michael Phelan has gotten a lot of props from Anthony Noreen about the kind of play that he's had since entering the lineup, both offensively and defensively. As Ryder Thompson comes in, that one's blocked, rebounds in front. Hasley's sitting there waiting, and there's going to be a penalty on Arizona State.
And perfect timing, too. It's going to be a 5-on-3.
Yep, so it'll be 5-on-3 for 9 seconds for Miami as Doug Grimes, literally right as the penalty was called, comes out of the box. So with 2:12 remaining in this second period, Miami has a chance to really tighten their grip on this game. And associate coach Troy Thibodeau has the whiteboard out, a quasi timeout there, as they do get the last change as the home team. It'll be the first unit for the RedHawks.
I remember last game when the whiteboard came out, the next play was really fast action. It was so close to a goal, so hopefully they can capitalize on this opportunity.
Maybe looking for a set play or something off this faceoff. 5-on-3 for 9 seconds. Delic wins the puck back. Now it's Deputy. Deputy holds, brings it slot, fires that one, rebound in front. It's loose, backhand sitting there, but that's a big save by Hasley on the rebound attempt, and now it's 5-on-4 as Lucius comes out of the box. Giampa near side. Ryder Thompson fires. That one's blocked by Smolin on one knee, and now Doug Grimes tries to play it up back to Coach Adelic, but a good play there by Smolin, and Arizona State's able to clear. Now it's Thompson. In the Miami zone, gives off for Giampa. Giampa goes far side for Grimes, and he enters. Grimes banks it off the wall. Thompson gets there first. Now it's Giampa far corner. Giampa backhands that one right to the slot for Deputy, right in the right spot. But not able to get a handle on it, as now it's Deputy once more after a clear from Arizona State. Deputy across the center M using his legs. Wheeling in. Loses the puck though, and Arizona State's able to get it towards the point, but not out, as Michael Quinn keeps it there for just a moment. Coach Adelic not able to find a teammate, and Shellberg had it, and the puck was sent into the crowd. The fan that caught it is getting their applause, of course. 52 seconds remaining on this Miami man advantage. 1 minute and 3 seconds remaining in the period. Miami still up 4-2. Second unit out for Anthony Noreen's RedHawks.
Yeah, this period has definitely been the momentum shifter, and hopefully this is the deal breaker between a win and a loss for Miami.
So while Miami has technically had 4 power play, or this is their 4th power play tonight, most of them have been, or a couple of them I should say, have been abbreviated, so not really able to get anything out of that. And Arizona State has 5 power plays, including a 5-minute major. So Kasper Nassen has it in the far corner after a Miami faceoff win. Lukasiewicz back to Quinn, center point. Quinn holds. Nassen one-times, that one's blocked by Bozer. A big block there against, we know how lethal that one-timer is, as now Nassen gives off for Quinn. Quinn fires that one, screen in front, glove down by Hasley with 40.2 seconds remaining, and Ethan Hay is knocked down in front, got a little bit too close to the Arizona State netminder and took exception to that.
Yeah, one thing to take away from this game is just the physicality from both sides. Again, a lot of that has resulted in some penalties, a lot of aggression from both sides, but it is nice to see some life from this arena itself with the fans cheering on.
And Hay was arguing that there should have been a penalty there, but the ref came in and said, no, you were in the crease, and Hay using his stick to point out where he thought he was standing. Obviously, referee Brian Hankey's disagreed as Miami wins another offensive zone draw. Talked about it earlier, how important these faceoffs have been for Miami, especially tonight as Ryder Thompson has it near point. Thompson gives off for Delic. Delic, quick pass to Deputy. Deputy tries to go through the seam. Fires that one, blockered away by Hasley off the post as well, I think. As Ryder Thompson has it now center point. He fires, that one's shouldered out to the corner by Hasley as the penalty is going to come to an end. Miami unable to keep possession in the zone as 8 seconds remain on the clock here at Goggin. For the second period, puck is just pinned against the wall, and that'll do it for an exciting second period. Miami will enter the final frame up 2 goals, 4-2 is the score. Shots 23-18 in favor of the RedHawks, and Aiden really kind of momentum shifting play, a shorthanded goal, and then immediately come back with another goal to take the lead. You know, you just love to see the resilience after going down 2-1. You see Miami kind of find their footing, really play their style of game, and you know, because of that, they walk back into the locker room up a couple goals.
Yeah, it's just their determination. They never stop, you know. When all these penalties happen for them, they're not momentum killers. They just go right back out there and even resulted in a shorthanded goal. So as long as they keep up this momentum that they're riding on, they should be fine for the rest of the game.
So we enter the final frame in just a little bit, but in the meantime, Will Salzarulo will have your intermission report. We'll be back for the final 20 minutes of the weekend's events here at Goggin Ice Center. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio.
You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. I'm your host, Will Salzarulo, and this is the second intermission report for the Miami University versus Arizona State game tonight. Quite a lot of work was done on both sides. Miami's coming out of the second period with four goals. Arizona coming out with 2. Here's how it happened. Arizona broke the ice with the first goal. It was a power play goal by Benjamin Kevin and assisted by Johnny Waldron and Kyle Smolin. Miami ties it up with Max Helgeson, assisted by David Deputy and Coach Adelic. Miami later got a shorthanded goal by Ethan Hay, assisted by Justin Stupka. And then after that, Ryan Smith from Miami, assisted by Doug Grimes and Coach Adelic. So here's how it went. Here's how the second period went down. Miami started with another penalty, a 2-minute on Vlad Lukasevich for interference. It led to a power point goal by Benjamin Caven. This is by Johnny Waldron and Kyle Smolden. Miami didn't let it last and tied it up. Shortly after the goal, Miami ASU gets on power play. While in the PK unit, Miami scored short-handed by Ethan Hay, assisted by Justin Stupka. You know, that short-handed goal makes you wish that the jailbreak rule from the PWHL was in the NCAA. That'd be a lot of fun to watch. A little more than a minute later, Ryan Smith lit up the lamp, assisted by Coach Adelic and Doug Grimes. It was a bittersweet goal, though, as Doug Grimes got a 2-minute penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct. You know, it was, as I always say, it was the great Elton John that said Saturday night's all right for fighting. Well, apparently at Goggin Ice Arena, Saturday night's all right for unsportsmanlike conduct, with 3 calls of unsportsmanlike conduct so far in the game, which is the most I've seen in a hockey game. Not even just at Miami, in general. This is the most I've seen on sportsmanlike conduct. Another penalty, ASU, Cruz Lucius with a 2-minute minor for interference. Miami comes up short. And while during that penalty, ASU had another penalty, 2-minute minor for roughing on Logan Morrell. However, Miami just comes up short. Key players from ASU, Johnny Waldron, he's leading the team in assists for ASU currently. Benjamin Caven's also a key player to look out for. He got the tiebreaker goal at the beginning of the period. Key player for Miami, Max Helgeson, with 2 goals currently tonight. He's looking for the Hattie. And Ethan Hay, who has 2 points on the board, both assists. Some tactical keys for Miami. They got to stay out of the box. Last night was the most penalties Miami has taken under the Noreen coachmanship, which is ironic since last Saturday was the first game in Miami hockey history to have no penalties called. Additionally, Miami needs to work on their power play. 0 of their goals so far this game has been on a power play goal. This has been your second intermission report. I'm Will Salzarulo. In less than 5 minutes, I'm going to hand it over to Jeff Middleton and Aiden Sonas for the third period coverage. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Stay tuned.
Final 20 minutes coming up here at Goggin Ice Center in Oxford, Ohio, between the Miami RedHawks and the Arizona State University Sun Devils. Miami finds themselves up heading into the final frame. 4-2 is our score. Shots 23-18 in favor of the home team as well. Jeff Middleton alongside Aiden Sones. Miami looking for a series split. Arizona State looking for a series sweep in this final game of the two-game set between these two NCHC opponents. And Aiden, we saw a couple huge goals towards the back end of that second period. Really gave Miami a lot of momentum, especially that short-handed goal from Ethan Hay. You know, coming into this period, you have to imagine that maybe not riding high, trying to keep everything on the same even level, but feeling confident in their ability to kind of generate offense against a Arizona State team that's been very stingy defensively this weekend.
Right, Miami has come around and scored on opportunities that not necessarily had the highest chance of scoring. Again, we had that short-handed goal, and we also had that goal that was just a lucky bounce to the goalie in which he couldn't get a blocker on that goal. So possession is the name of the game here as we're wrapping up for this third period.
And possession is something that Anthony Noreen kind of emphasized last night after the loss, is saying that the way that you stop this Arizona State team is possess the puck. And Doug Grimes said it too. Make smarter decisions as puck is down. We are underway. Sean McGurn fires that one over the left shoulder of Mateo Droback. Miami moving right to left in this third period. Arizona State moving left to right, and Arizona State with the puck now. It's Cruz Lucius. Lucius, a transfer from Wisconsin a couple of seasons ago. He's made his impact tonight, certainly. Here comes Cullen Potter. Potter drags, but that one's deflected away by Ryder Thompson. Good defensive play there by the freshman defender. Goals tonight from Lucius and Keevan for Arizona State. For Miami, it's Ryan Smith. Had a hat trick last weekend for Miami against Lindenwood in their sweep of the Lions. And Max Helgeson looking for one of his own tonight. Has two. And then the fourth goal from Ethan Hay.
One interesting stat that really stands out to me, we're talking about Helgeson and how great he has performed here today. He has 5 shots today and 5 shots on goal as well. So every single time he shoots the puck, it manages to get to the goalie.
Yeah, fewer block shots tonight for Arizona State. Mentioned last night just how big that was for them. Miami ended up finishing with over 50 shot attempts, but only 20 of them got on net. You know, some missed wide, of course, but yeah, lots of block shots for the Sun Devils last night. Really made a difference for Miami's offense, and tonight, big difference as well, as Cullen Potter tries to find a man streaking. That's Jack Beck on a semi two-on-one rush, I should say. Max Helgeson on the revamped breakout, sends it in from the neutral zone. Hasley gloves it down and gives it off for Anthony Dowd. Dowd plays it forward for Keevan. Keevan not able to make a clean pass to Smith. Puck kind of bouncing around in the Miami defensive zone. Once again, Ilya Morozov out for the rest of this game after taking a game misconduct for cross-checking in the first period. Just a little over halfway into the first period. So Miami has been missing their first-line center the majority of this game. And not only their first-line center, but a guy who we talked about can play with skill, play with physicality, kill penalties, do everything for head coach Anthony Noreen. And you know, you have to be pretty proud of the effort from the guys who have been double shifting. Honestly, it hasn't really felt like they've been missing a guy like Morozov.
Yeah, the depth on this Miami RedHawks team is really impressing me so far. The amount of goal-scoring opportunities, even from the fourth line, have really stood out to me.
And of course, you have to imagine with just how much skill and the presence of Ilya Morozov, what this game might look like if Morozov was still in the lineup. But you have to think it does change the mindset of the RedHawks. They're now playing a man down on the bench. Defensive zone draw for the RedHawks. It's Casper Nassen, Justin Stupka, and Doug Grimes, the identity line for these RedHawks. Puck is sent cross ice by Smolin. Quinn is just going to flip it out, and the lob wedge works its way down as Arizona State has it back the other way. It's Smolin now. Keevan goes cross ice, but that pass is deflected off the top of the boards. and out of play.
Another interesting thing I've noted is a lot of pucks are starting to get out of play. You know, we had a few in the second period in which a lot of long passes ended up going above the glass. That just proves how many interceptions that the Miami RedHawks have endured on these Arizona State Sun Devils.
Getting sticks in lanes is a huge part of this Miami defense, obviously, but when you look at those 2 goals from Arizona State, tic-tac-toe goals, seam passes, everything that makes for, you know, a pretty highlight reel goal, but regardless, it's been easy for Arizona State to kind of find seams early on in this game, but recently Miami's defense has been kind of stingy, as now it's David Deputy coming down near side after a pickpocket. Deputy makes a move towards the net. He backhands that one right into the padding of Connor Hasley. Deputy is having a heck of a weekend. Fantastic performance from him last night after coming into the lineup for his second career game, and tonight recorded his first collegiate point.
He definitely came back from a resurgence. Obviously, he had that injury in the first game of the season, and it looks like he's been bouncing back just fine.
And Anthony Noreen mentioned that he's going to get his legs under him sooner rather than later, and boy, was he right. Because Deputy has been arguably one of Miami's most valuable players so far, has been able to do everything for these RedHawks. Miami loses the offensive zone draw, and puck goes out to the neutral zone. Delic plays it intentionally offside. Not sure if the faceoff is going to be... Yeah, it'll be on the Miami side of the ice in the neutral zone. So Miami enters this game with a 6-1-0 record. Their only loss coming last night, Arizona State. Arizona State comes into the series with a 2-4-0 record. Couple of losses to Gavin McKenna's Penn State in the opening series that was broadcasted nationally. They got to showcase everything that's great about Mullet Arena. We know how excellent that arena is for college hockey, and when you have one of the best players in the world playing there, that's going to help bring some eyes to this great game. And Max Helgeson brings it across the Miami offensive zone blue line, and he'll just play it around as Ethan Hay plays it out in front. Puck is loose, rebound. That's Ryan Smith that was there. Unable to get a stick on it. Hasley looked like he was in position to make a save, but nonetheless, Miami getting another good chance in front of this Arizona State net. Now Justin Stupka in on the forecheck. Jack Beck gives off for Cullen Potter. He's going to use his wheels. Makes a move around one, but Nick Donato gives up the trip. There's going to be a penalty here on Miami, as there is Cullen Potter's wheels personified in one play. Just gets the puck on the rush and flies up the far side of the ice, and Nick Donato has no other choice but to take a tripping penalty.
Yeah, Cullen Potter, as we were saying, is just one of those players that can really just avoid contact with and just dodge in and out between defenders in order to go into the offensive zone, which is a skill that the Calgary Flames did look at when they drafted him last year in the first round.
Potter scored his first goal of the season last night. A little bit of a slow start. It was an empty netter, too. It wasn't one with the goaltender in the net. Yeah, it's a little bit of a slow start for arguably Arizona State's most impactful player. You know, obviously, the competition's been excellent, so that doesn't help anything. But, you know, if you're Greg Powers, you're kind of looking for him to keep pace through conference play and just kind of, or pick up the pace in conference play, I should say. He wins the face-off cleanly back. It's Kipke. Kipke, cross for Lucius. Stick breaks for Potter, and Jack Beck's just going to have to take it out of the zone here, as he ended up 4-on-5 in the O-zone, and after Potter broke his stick. Now it's Potter with the puck. Drops it off for Shimmick. Shimmick enters the zone with possession. Cross for Beck now. Lucius near side. Lucius up top for Kipke. Back to Lucius. Lucius moves down the half wall. Now Kipke. Kipke fakes the shot as Potter. Potter across for Lucius, drags, fires that one. Rebound is in front. Mateo Droback sprawls and gets there.
Wow, he went from one side of the crease to the other side of the crease in such a fluid motion to block that save, to block that shot. Good thing it was a save, making it still 4-2.
Droback, not the biggest goalie of all time, 6'2", 205 pounds, but certainly big in the net. Same thing for Connor Hasley, as 6'2", 205 pounds as well. Two goaltenders that, usually the average height for a goalie, 6'3", 6'4", sometimes as big as 6'6", but 6'2", nothing to scoff at for either of these guys. Kipke gives off for Potter near side. Potter holds, waits near side, gives back for Kipke, now receives it back from the defenseman. Kipke for Lucius. Lucius far side. Kipke one-times that one, waffle boarded away and sent out by Lukashevich. Good save there by Mateo Drobak. Kipke now for Potter. Potter once again using his legs well. Now it's Shimmick. Shimmick one-hands it to Lucius, but that one's picked off by Delic. Delic tried to give a little bit of a bump to Helgeson, make him go chase after that puck, try and get a breakaway, but nonetheless, Helgeson decided to just go for a change as 40 seconds remain on this Arizona State power play, and the second unit's out for the Sun Devils. Dowd drops for Waldron. Waldron drops for Keevan. Keevan enters the zone, goes 1-on-2, fires that one just wide of the blocker side of Drobak. Took an odd bounce off of Michael Phelan. Miami's unable to clear, it's Dowd. Dowd to Waldron, back to Dowd. Dowd holds center point, fires that one, screen in front, ends up hitting McGurn, diving Deputy, can't get it out. Now it's Dowd. And the puck goes out of the zone as the penalty expires. Nick Donato's just gonna head straight to the bench and get a change. So Miami kills off another penalty, and here they come. Here comes Casper Nossen, gives it wide for Deputy. Deputy holds, fires, that one's blocked aside by Hasley. David Deputy just recorded his 7th shot on 7 attempts. So you mentioned Max Helgeson getting pucks to the net, making sure they're going on net, and David Deputy's been just that for Miami as well. A really strong showing from the freshman. Puck is dumped around the Arizona State zone. Miami gives chase. It's Ryan Smith. He'll play it over to Nossen. Now it's Michaud at the point. Michaud near side gives off for Smith. Smith finds Nossen. Now it's Quinn. Quinn gives over for Michaud. Michaud fires, that one's patted away by the right leg of Hasley. Nossen loses a battle to Waldron, or excuse me, that's Alfano. And now Ty Nash gives chase. Nash gives around for Morrell. Pass is picked off in front by Michaud. Nossen unable to handle it, though, as his line mates go for a change, and he's going to do the same. As Stupka pressures. Pass from Barron is a bit behind Shellberg, but they recover. Now Shellberg has it across the Miami M. Gives off to Beck, and he'll just dump it in deep. Now it's McEwen. McEwen finds the skate of Stupka, tries to kick it to himself, but ends up hitting the wall. He's just going to have to clear out. Now here comes Johnny Waldron. He hits, big hit by McEwen. He gets lit up in the middle of the ice. Johnny Waldron gets right back to his feet, but once again, that physical play ramping up here.
We talk about the physicality in this game. Miami ranks 11th in terms of player weight, having 191.8 pounds on average for all its players. So you can definitely see that show in this game. A lot of physicality tiring out the Sun Devils. And we will see if that will articulate in another goal or not.
So we're going to have a stoppage here. I'm not entirely sure what happened. Nobody's coming out to scrape the ice. The referees are getting their water bottles and taking a quick drink. Okay, and you mentioned the physicality obviously being a super important part as we wait for this break to end. Still not entirely sure what's happening, but yeah, you mentioned the physicality and just kind of, I think the biggest part, at least as someone who has followed this team, a lot of times there's playing with physicality, making sure you want to hit guys, you want to make sure that you're a hard team to play against, but also playing smart physically. I think in years prior, not to say that it was always the case, but there were times, especially during conference play, when you would see the opposing teams come in and play physically, but also play smart physically, and Miami would end up just kind of really try and punish their opponents, which again is not a bad thing, but it feels as if this Miami team is understanding more of the line between playing smart and playing physical. So Arizona State, after this brief break, wins the faceoff in the offensive zone. Kipke fires that one after a cross-ice pass from Dowd and hits the skate of a Miami defender and just kind of kicks out. Miami will take it the other way. Now it's Ryder Thompson. Gets behind the net for Helgeson. Helgeson will just shoot that one around. Thompson again, now Smith in the near corner. Smith runs into Dowd. Puck loose behind the net. Now Kipke will just backhand it to Lucius. Lucius backhand flips that one off the boards. Now Ethan Hay will fire it right back in. Hasley has to come out to play. Hasley drops for Dowd. Dowd wants it back from Kipke, but Kipke finds Lucius in the neutral zone, and now Dowd gets it back moving up. And I believe that was Bennett Shimmick who went offside as Arizona State entered the zone. So now we get our first media timeout of this third period. 11:34 remaining in this final frame. 4-2 is our score in favor of the RedHawks. Shots 28-21 here at Goggin Ice Center. We'll be back after this break. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Final 11:34 of regulation here at Miami. The RedHawks have a 4-2 lead. 28 shots on goal, 21 shots on goal for the Sun Devils. Once again, Miami moving right to left in this third period. Arizona State moving left to right. As we look down from atop Goggin Ice Center. Glad you could join us for the last game of this weekend. The first conference weekend for both of these programs. As Arizona State gets the puck in their offensive zone, and Ben Keevan tries to find a man in front. That's Smolin. Smolin ends up finding the puck behind the goal line, and that puck is sent from the point down behind the Miami net. It's Court near side. Puck is batted out of the air by Coach Adelic. Rimmed around by Arizona State. A little fumble with it behind the net for Mateo Drobak, but no harm, no foul. And instead, Miami just decides to rim it out and send it to the Arizona State zone. Now Court. Court lays off a pass for Potter. Potter using his wheels. Once again. An impressive display of skating from Potter all night long. It's Waldron now. Waldron wins a 1-on-2 battle for a moment, but Stupka picks his pocket. And now Stupka, the freshman, comes the other way. Stupka, Nassen, and Grimes in on the forecheck. Nassen unable to cleanly intercept that pass as Shellberg takes a fall, and now puck is still in the zone. Nassen plays it in front for Grimes, but Grimes is unable to handle it cleanly. Not sure if he had Hasley beat, but he certainly was right in front with nobody around him. Now Hasley will give off for McGurn. McGurn turns and fires it over to Barron. Now over to Lucius. Lucius gives to McGurn. Entering the offensive zone now in the near corner. No look pass out in front was no good. Now that pass was, but Lucius was unable to handle it as it hit his skate. Another pass in front. Droback had his pad sealed to the post, and puck ended up hitting him and going to the side of the net. Now it's Helgeson. Helgeson for Miami gives off for Michaud. He'll just backhand it through the skates of Ethan Hay, and Ryan Smith will go into forecheck, and now here comes Arizona State on the transition. Mateo Droback fired that one right into Shimmick, and Shimmick hand passed that to Logan Morrell. So a lucky break for Miami as, you know, you see the vision of what Droback is trying to do, but the execution was a little bit flawed. Again, no harm, no foul, but of course you're playing with fire against a team with as many talented players as the Sun Devils squad. So the faceoff comes outside the Miami zone, and now Lukashevich will play it off the boards in front of the benches. And the puck is chipped out of play into the Arizona State bench. Kind of a choppy first 11 minutes of this period. Not really a lot of possession time for either team, kind of back and forth, stoppages of play. Of course, if you're Miami, you probably like that. If you're Arizona State, not to say they're getting frustrated, but certainly doesn't help the mood when you're trying to score 2 goals and tie this thing up.
You could definitely tell that the players are starting to get more tired. So again, that puck possession is the most crucial aspect of the game.
Nicholas Mikan, St. Thomas transfer from Medina, Minnesota, brings it in for Miami. Now it's Lukashevich center point. Lukashevich moves near side, and we'll just throw it around. Stupka's there to meet it, and he'll rim it back around for Mikan. Mikan rims it backhand once more. Now Messenberg. Miami fourth line trying to create some possession. Now Stupka. Once again, Miami without Ilya Morozov. So Stupka, Nassen, and Grimes, along with David Deputy, have been double shifting throughout this game. It's been kind of a rotation of guys instead of one player double shifting. Miami has adapted well, though. Sam Court now for Arizona State. A clean pass to Alfano. Alfano tries a cross-ice feed, but Michael Phelan's there with the stick, and he just kind of pokes it towards the point, but not out. Now it's Shellberg. Takes a big hit from Thompson after dumping the puck in low. Now it's Koshadelic. He'll just backhand spin it to Phelan, and he'll bring it out with his legs before Messenberg takes a trip and fall after clearing it in. He's going to go for a change. That fourth line was out there for a while. Arizona State dumps it in again. Droback kind of leaves it off for Quinn, but Quinn in a battle with an Arizona State player, and a glove save there by Mateo Droback on an out-of-nowhere shot, but didn't grab that cleanly, just in the face-off circle from the far side, and able to get a stoppage of play with 7:36 remaining in this third period.
Yeah, Droback really fanned out on that save, going past the crease, almost towards halfway towards the face-off circles. And that was overall just a really impressive save to limit the damage.
So it'll be the Stupka, Grimes, Nassen line against the first line for Arizona State of Waldron, Potter, and Beck. And that puck is immediately thrown out of play by Miami, so we'll just do it all over again. Stupka and Potter both with 10 face-off wins tonight. Stupka only 2 losses to Potter's 8. Still, though, a really good night in the dot for Potter. Over 50%, you'll always take that. Grimes tries to flutter it out, but unable to do so on the first try, and does on the second. As Lukashevich is playing a little bit of defense on a man in the neutral zone. Lets the Miami defender get the puck. That's Sean McEwen. He sends it all the way around for an icing. sits at 28 shots on goal. Arizona State 22, 7:04 remaining in this third. Puck is tied up in the faceoff circle on the near side of the Miami defensive zone. Miami wins it back, but Sean McEwen's not able to get it out, as now it's McGurn for Arizona State. McGurn fires that one off the pad of Droback, and it bounces right to Doug Grimes, who double hits it with his stick and is not able to get the puck out. He just kind of shot it, and it ended up hitting the backhand of his stick on the follow-through. Doesn't really matter, though, as Kasper Nassen brings it out, and now it's Grimes once more. But Lukashevich enters just a bit too early, and Miami goes offside. And with that offside, we hit our final media timeout of regulation. 6:35 remaining in the third period. Miami still up 4-2 here at Goggin Ice Center. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Final 6:35 of regulation here at Goggin Ice Center. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jeff Middleton alongside Aiden Sones. As Miami looks for the series split and their first NCHC win in 658 days against Arizona State. I should say playing against Arizona State currently. Last time they beat Arizona State was thanks to a man on Arizona State, as Shellberg will just try and move through two Miami defenders and get a shot on net, but it goes wide. The last time that they beat Arizona State was in overtime, thanks to Johnny Waldron, who is currently a Sun Devil a couple of seasons ago. Last year, there was a series sweep here at Goggin Ice Center. Arizona State won 7-1 on Friday and 4-1 on Saturday. Tonight, looking to make some amends against these Sun Devils. Obviously, a talented NCHC program. Almost too many men for Miami as David Deputy jumped early, but referee didn't see it, and we play on. 5:35 remaining in the third period. Mateo Giampa has a steal for a moment, but sends it all the way down. And now it's Sam Court the other way. Court mishandles the puck, almost offside, but Potter was able to restrain himself for just a second, and now it's Jack Beck on the far side. Brayson Bozer tried to get one deep, but unable to do so, and shot it into the pads of a Miami defender instead, and now just brings it back out to neutral ice and in his own zone. A couple of spin moves on David Deputy, trying to get rid of the pressure. He does, now finds Cullen Potter. Good play by Giampa with the stick to break up any moves that Potter tried to make, and that puck is fired hard into the stands off the stick of Jack Beck. Hopefully everyone's all right over there. That was an absolute rocket into the stands. 4:53 remaining in the third.
Now that it is winding down towards the end of the game, you start to wonder when they will remove their goalie. and potentially make it a 5 versus 2 game.
Last night, Miami did pull the goaltender twice. Only one empty netter was scored, though, as Miami had an empty net and took a penalty instead of the goal. Resulted in a power play goal for the third goal of the game, nonetheless, for Arizona State, as there's a shot on net by Arizona State. That's Lucius from the corner, and Miami ices it once again. Yeah, like you mentioned, Aiden, curious to see when Greg Powers decides to remove Hasley from the net. As we get into these late stages of the game. Nonetheless, Arizona State gets an offensive zone draw here. It'll be the second line of McGurn, Lucius, and Shimmick against Nassen, Stupka, and Grimes. Nassen is able to clear the zone after the faceoff win, and Grimes is just going to dump it in and go for a change after the icing. Now it's Shimmick the other way on the near side. Shimmick tries to find McGurn, but just a little bit out of his reach, and the puck goes to Mikey Phelan. Instead, he's just going to spin and fire it off the boards down the ice. No icing called with 3:55 remaining in the third. Now it's Potter. Probably only see these two top lines for Arizona State, just kind of rotating as we get towards the late stages. Now it's Sam Court. Court tries to drag, but he's unable to keep the puck with him, and now it's Ethan Hay on the break. Hay's just going to dump it and chip into himself. He's going to keep going, though. Pushes down Jack Beck. Now Smith. Smith out in front. Tries to find a backhand. It's Giampa, but he's unable to get the puck. And now there's going to be a penalty on Beck as Giampa runs into Beck. I don't think Beck was looking, but we saw that interference penalty last night against Ryder Thompson of Miami. It was Kyle Smolin who kind of just backed into him, and same thing happened here with Giampa. And Jack Beck, the freshman out of Richmond Hill, Ontario, formerly of the AHL, is going to get a penalty here in his second collegiate game. It's going to be 2 minutes for interference with 3:27 in the third period, and that's a big penalty for both teams, but mainly for Arizona State. You can't be taking that kind of penalty at this stage of the game.
Yeah, again, the NCHC is just a different ball game. I noticed that the referees are a little bit more strict than they would otherwise in a non-conference game. So let's see if Miami can capitalize on this terrific game so far, terrific performance, and hopefully make it 5-2.
The referees for out-of-conference games are determined by the home team. So for Miami, their first we'll hold off on that thought as we get a call. Unfortunately, the referee's mic is on, so we cannot hear him. It looked like he said something about a bench minor. Maybe Miami is challenging for a major. Seeing as you're up 4-2, 3.5 minutes remaining in the third, it probably doesn't hurt. I mean, you either lose your timeout or you use this as a timeout regardless, so.
The question is now, what are they looking at when it comes to?
Yeah, I'm curious. Regardless, though, we're talking about the referees. NCHC referees notably a little bit more strict, a little bit more kind of to the rules. When you're playing out-of-conference games, like the first series for Miami, here at Miami, you had NCHC refs, and then you've had ECAC refs for RPI, and then last series, still not sure where the referees are from. Lindenwood is not associated with the hockey conference. They're an independent team. But now that you're playing conference games, it's probably pretty nice to get consistent refereeing from here on out, just in terms of how they're going to call a game. Obviously, you know, referees are going to be different no matter where you go. But you're going to have the same crews. You're going to see the same guys a lot. You're going to know what they call, what they don't call, what they'll let go, what they won't. Gives Miami and, of course, all the other NCHC teams a little bit of consistency.
Yeah, it's a learning curve, especially for these newer teams that have a lot of people from the CHL on their staffs. So just getting to understand, think of the mindset that the NCHC referees are thinking of, just adapting your overall style of play to try and mimic and create less penalties for your own team is really important to succeed in this league.
Referees are still reviewing this. Still, unfortunately, I wish the referees' mics were working because we'd be able to hear their calls. The referees are now done, but yeah, we weren't able to hear what the initial call or the challenge was. I'm sure we'll hear or at least see on the game feed. Here comes the call. So Arizona State actually challenged, I believe, for too many men, if I had to guess. But because Arizona State challenged, they lost the challenge, and now they lose their timeout as a result. So nothing really changes. Just, again, same thing for Arizona State like we said about Miami. You could challenge and try and get yourself back to even strength, or, you know, you could use your timeout. So regardless, Miami enters the power play with 3:27 remaining in this third period, up 4-2. Arizona State wins the offensive zone draw, and they're going to try and get as many offensive chances as they can, but Miami comes out 3-on-1. Now it's a 2-on-0. Giampa gives off to Grimes. Big save by Hasley. Grimes gets the rebound, tries to play it in front for Deputy, but his stick is tied up, and now it's Deputy again. Deputy gives down to Grimes, now Giampa, 2-on-0. Looks like Giampa kind of held it for just a second too long. Regardless, here comes Shimmick. Now Shimmick holds, fires that one just wide. Drobek did not see that. Really good pull and drag move by Shimmick around the defenseman. That's Ryder Thompson, excuse me. With 2:40 remaining in this third period, it's tough for Arizona State because they can't pull the goalie. Now it's Thompson through the middle. We'll just dump it in. Now Hasley comes out of his net to play it, rims it around, but Nossen's there first. And here comes Cullen Potter with Logan Morrell. Morrell fires that one, sticked away by Drobek. Big save from the Miami goaltender. Now it's Lukashevich. Lukashevich gives far side for Delic. Now it's Lukashevich again. Across ice for Nossen. Nossen tries to play it down low for Smith. Now it's Morrell. He'll just flip it out. Lukashevich kicks it to himself, and we'll just dump it back in. 1:55 remaining in this third period. 25 seconds remaining on this power play for Miami, as now it's Shellberg for Arizona State. And there goes Hasley. Arizona State's net is empty. McEwen looks towards the empty net. He's not able to get it out, though. It's Shimmick who gloves it down. Now Sean McGurn holds. Puck is caught up in the skates of the referee for a moment. Now it's McGurn on the far side. Ethan Hay makes a big check. McGurn loses it, and McEwen is just going to throw it all the way down. We're back to even strength. Messenberg gives off for Smith. That one's headed towards the empty net, and he scores! Ryan Smith scores his second game of the night. The 30th shot on goal goes Miami's way. It's 5-2 RedHawks.
That was a beautiful in-between-the-legs pass to score the goal. It was honestly phenomenal on how we managed on a 6-on-5 to just play with such fluidity and manage to get the puck into the net.
Yeah, Blake Messenberg gonna get the primary assist, and he absolutely should. A fantastic play on the wall in the referee's crease on this near side. Played it between his legs, and he's getting a lot of congratulations on the bench. Head coach Anthony Noreen comes over, gives him a few shoulder pats, and very much deserved. As Miami is poised to win their first conference game in 658 days with this win against the Sun Devils. Anthony Dowd now in the zone, 50 seconds remaining. Stupka intercepts the attempted pass, gives off for Helgeson. Helgeson fires that one's blockered away by Hasley as he enters the zone. Charlie Michaud steps up to try and intercept a pass. He does for a moment. Now he pushes it forward to Messenberg near side. As this Miami crowd serenades Hasley. Michaud loves it down, plays it cross ice for Deputy. Deputy unable to control the puck. Now it's Smith fires, that one's off Messenberg in front with 13 seconds remaining. Big reverse hit by Smolin. Ryan Smith comes in, gives him a little check. And as the time ticks down, 2 seconds remaining and one, Miami has won their first conference game in the Anthony Noreen era.
It is long overdue, but well-deserved. Miami outscored and outplayed just overall with amazing passes, amazing plays. And, Miami should be really proud of what they have done here.
So a big win for this Miami team, and you can just see it. The hugs are abound after last night's upsetting loss. Like you said, Aiden, Miami played like they deserved this win. They just, I think the best thing that Anthony Noreen said last night that kind of stuck with me was you either win or you learn. And they learned. And of course, it's still very early in this season, but that's a big conference win against a team that was really, really strong last year and is going to be strong again this year in NCHC play. So as the Miami and Arizona State Sun Devils players shake hands, I want to say thank you for joining us for this weekend's edition of Miami Hockey here on Red Hawk Radio. My name's Jeff Middleton for Aiden Sones. Will Salzarulo will have your post-game report from Goggin Ice Center. Thank you so much for listening to this edition of Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. We will catch you next time for the next home series, a couple weekends from now against St. Cloud State.
You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Here is your post-game report. I'm your host, Will Salzarulo. There was only one goal in the third period, but Miami made it count. It was a power play goal by Ryan Smith, assisted by Blake. I apologize, it was not a power play goal. It was an empty netter goal done by Ryan Smith and Blake Messenberg. Shots on net, Miami with 32 and Miami with 32 and Arizona State with 23. Here's the overview of the game. Miami and Arizona State ended the first period with 1 goal on the board. Second period, Miami took the lead with getting 3 goals in the second period, and Arizona getting 1. Final score of the second period is 4-2. And finally, in the third period, Miami with 5, Arizona State with 2. That is the final score for tonight's matchup. Block shots, Miami with 12, opponent with 18. For faceoffs, pretty even. I 100% have to say faceoffs was Miami's weakest part of the team last season. So it's great to see Miami winning 30 faceoffs and Arizona winning 28. So pretty even there. So Miami leaves tonight with a record of 7-1-0 and conference record of 1-1. Arizona State leaves tonight with an overall record of 3-5 and NCHC record of 1-1. Miami Hockey plays November 14th at Western Michigan. Unfortunately, there will not be a Red Hawk Radio broadcast during then. However, you can watch the Western Michigan radio there. But the week after that, on November 21st, it is Miami back at home against St. Cloud. Should be a great matchup. This has been your post-game report for Arizona State versus Miami University. The series is 1-1, and Miami takes the Saturday matinee with the score being 5-2. I've been Will Salzarulo. It's been an honor hosting you tonight. This has been Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Thank you for listening.